What's up, guys? I'm Dwayne,
I'm Alicia.
and we are Black Board Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there.
Waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't wanna complication.
Today, I want to give you a heads up on an expansion that will soon be available for pre order. And I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Alicia, because it's an expansion for a game that we both like quite a lot.
Today we're going to talk about Fort Cats and Dogs expansion.
Let's go to the table to see what this expansion brings to the gameplay of Fort. You begged and pleaded with your parents until they finally gave in. Fort has brought the Cats and Dogs expansion to the game. To add the dogs to the game, each player will first get a dog house of their matching player color and place it next to their player board. Then we would take this deck of 18 dog cards, give it a good shuffle, and place it face down in reach of all players. Then, when we're creating our beginning decks, usually you will get your two best friends and 8 kid cards drawn from the kid deck. With the dogs, you get your two best friends, you get 5 kid cards drawn from the kid deck, and then you draw 3 dog cards from the dog deck. Once everybody has created their decks, the unused dog cards are returned to the box. So on a player's turn, you can play a kid as usual, or you could play a dog from your hand. So to play a dog from your hand, you first have to be able to meet its needs. So let's look at, and the needs are written above the dotted line. So Spud here, in order to play Spud, your fort level has to be at least 2, and you add 2 cards with the shovel suit to this card. Hershey, you have to add 2 cards with the book suit. Squeaker, your fort level has to be at least 2, and you get to add 1 glue card with the glue suit on it. Now, if you are able to meet their needs, then you play the card, and then you're able to do the action written below the dotted line. And these actions cannot be followed by other players. So let's look at Squeaker again. You may fill your stuff with toys from the supply, and then you add Squeaker to your doghouse. So if you don't have any toys, you could just grab 4 toys right off rip, and no one can follow that. And then Squeaker would just go into your doghouse. So you just tuck him under. So Spud, you gain up to 3 resources from the supply and add them to your stuff and or pack in any combination. Then he will go to your doghouse. Hershey, you may move up to 2 kids in total from any lookout. Now remember, if you played Fort before, you know that once kids get in your lookout, they can't come out. But Hershey allows you to move 2 kids in total from any lookout, and they go to your discard pile. And then Hershey will go to your doghouse. So the actions on these dogs are one and done. They just, once you do that action, they go under your doghouse, and that's where they'll stay for the remainder of the game. But they're still relevant at the end of the game, because when you tally up points, the player who has the most dogs in their doghouse at the end of the game will score 7 extra points. Also, if you have a made-up rule, so let's say this one, for in the game, you score 1 point per book. Each dog has a suit, and that book will count towards that. So Hershey here will get you an extra point at the end of the game. Now, once you play your cards and you discard the cards from your, hand into your yard, dogs, they go out into the yard also. The thing is, at the beginning of your next turn, let's say you got these kids in your yard, These guys go to your discard pile because nobody recruited them, but the dog goes to the discard pile of the player to your left. So that signifies the dog's roaming around everybody's yard just doing stuff. And that's real cool. Also take note, dogs can follow. So let's say I play scout here and he put something in the backpack per shovel. I could follow with Spud and Spud will go to my discard pile. Also, you cannot trash dogs or you cannot put dogs into your lookout. That's just wrong. Because it's a dog. To add the cats to the game, we would take these 8 cat cards and give them a good shuffle. And then, per player, we would draw 1 cat card and place it near the scoreboard. So if we setting up for a 3-player game, we would put 3 cats next to the scoreboard and place the rest of the cats, returning them to the box, rather. So note that these cat cards, unlike the dogs, these cat cards do not have a suit. They cannot go to your hand. They cannot be discarded. And like the dogs, you cannot trash the cats because that would just be wrong. So during the game, cats are just wandering around the scoreboard until they're attracted to something going on in your yard. So let's take a look. Jitters. If at the end of your turn, you have no cards in your yard, then Jitters is just going to wander over next to your player board. He doesn't go into your yard, he just goes next to your player board. But the cool part about that is now Jitters is going to give you a special ability that happens on your turn. And his is if no one follows your played card, even if they can't, you score 1 victory point. So that's a cool thing to have. Let's look at the other ones. Scavenger. He's attracted to 2 cards that have the glue suit. Now, the coins, which are wild, don't count towards this. They have to specifically be the glue suit. So if you have 2 cards with the glue suit in your yard at the end of the turn, then Scavenger comes wandering over to your player board. And then now you have this ability. Before you play a card, you may convert up to 2 resources, pizza to toys or reverse, on your board. Cilantro. He's attracted to 2 cards with the book suit. And then now he wanders over to your yard. Now, whenever you recruit from the park deck, you draw 2 cards, not 1. Choose 1 and return the other to the bottom of the park deck. Now, know that the cat cards do not stay with you. So, if my opponent has 2 cards with the book suit at the end of their turn in their yard, this Cilantro is going to leave me and go to their player board. The cool thing about the cats, though, they just wandering all over. Cats do what they want to do. So they just wandering all over the game, the player area. But when the end game comes up and we tally up the points, cats score you points. So if someone has 1 cat next to their player board, you get 1 point. If you got 2 cats next to your player board, you get 3 points. If you get 3 cats next to your player board, you will get 6 points. And so on. I think the most you can have is like 4. Well, of course, it's a 4-player game, so you only going to have 4 cats. But if you got 4 cats next to your player board in the game, that will get you 10 points. Now, the one thing to note that the cat module and the dog module, you can play with both of them, which is going to add a lot of complexity and a lot of things to think about when you're playing the game of Fort. So, do you think this expansion adds more to the theme of this game?
Actually, I do. I mean, you got a bunch of kids out in the yard playing.
Yeah.
And so now their pets are in the mix. So I definitely think the expansion enriches the theme.
Oh, yeah, I think it does too. Did you have a pet growing up?
Actually, briefly, we had a cat.
Oh, okay. We had dogs. We had like 3 dogs. I think it was Blackie, Angelo, and I forgot what the other one was named, But yeah, I mean, if your kid's playing outside, you have pets.
Yes.
You know, and I like the fact how the pets interact in the game, because dogs are loyal, so you have to meet their needs to attract them to your doghouse. Cats are fickle, so they just attracted to what you're doing, you know, and then they leave whenever they decide they want to go.
If
You
they
know.
come when they feel like it, and they go when they feel like
Right.
it.
So, okay. So, what do you think about, you know, what else does it add to this game?
Well, obviously, it gives you an opportunity to earn more points. Like with the dogs, whoever has the most dogs at the end can gain an extra 7 points. And in the game like Fort, that's a game changer. That can make you win or lose the game.
Yeah, it does. It can help you out in the end.
So it can affect the outcome. And also, having a cat can give you a few extra points. Again, in a game like Fort, 4 or 5 points can change the outcome of who wins the game.
Yeah, I like the fact that it adds a little bit extra challenge, extra things to pay attention to.
It adds a little bit of extra challenge, and it gives you a few more options because each cat or dog gives you special abilities.
Yeah, I do like some of the special abilities on the dogs and cats, especially the one cat. I can't remember his name, but if ever at the end of your term, if you don't have any kids in your yard, you know, he comes to your house. But then now, whoever has that cat, if no other players follow, you get a point.
Yes.
And I think when we did that, I got that cat, and I was getting a point, like just a point every time you didn't want to follow.
but
You couldn't follow. I was like 1 point.
but that was a game changer.
So yeah, I really do like this expansion.
Yes, this expansion adds a little nuance to the game without changing the game.
Yeah, and it adds to the theme of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you like Fort was one of my favorite games of last year. You know,
So if you like Fort, you'll enjoy the expansion.
yeah, it really does add to the game. And it will be available for pre-order coming in July. So, if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm Dwayne.
I'm Alicia.
We are Blackboard Gaming, and we have just given you a heads up. See you next time.